Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Madera County Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. Time is 9 o'clock. Madam Clerk, are there any additions to the agenda?
No additions to the agenda.
County Council, will you please read items into the record for closed session?
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, there are 5 items for today's closed session. The first is under Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with your labor negotiators. Agency designated representatives are Michelle May and Ken Caves, and the employee organization is all units. There are 3 existing litigations under Government Code Section 54956.9. You have a conference with your legal counsel. The cases of the names are on the agenda. The case numbers, they are County of Madera versus AmerisourceBergen Drug Company. That's the opioid litigation. The other is Anita Ross versus the County of Madera. And the last is Sheila Avila versus the State of Brittany Hine. The last matter is under Tender of Defense and Indemnity of Barajas versus Cagley Environmental. That's significant exposure to litigation under Government Code 54956.9, subsection D2.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there any questions on the closed session items? If not, is there any public comment regarding the closed session items? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion, and we will go back to closed session. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. The time is 10:02. We just got back from closed session. There will still be two items that we'll have to go back in on 2C and 2E. County Council, is there anything to report out of closed session?
Chairman, there were no reportable actions from the closed sessions addressed this morning.
Thank you. We'll open and close in memory of. Does anyone have anything? Tom?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'll make sure.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Very, very good friend of mine, Frank Johnson, passed away about 2 weeks ago. His son, I didn't even know it. His son told me about it Saturday at the Seratomus dinner. And he used to own around 400 acres up at Kinsman Flat for about 50 years. And anyway, he sold a big portion of it to the Fish and Game. So the Corsico Resource Conservation District actually helped run that afterwards. And we've done brushing and a little control burn and everything on it. And he was always given to everybody. And he was 90-something. His son told me, and I forgot to write it down exactly, but he was a great, great person. And when he sold the ranch, he moved over to Oakhurst, or between Bass Lake and Oakhurst on 222, actually right across from where Matt Treber's folks live, where Matt is. So a great man, going to be missed. And his son's still up there, and his grandson has actually moved into that house, so it's kind of cool. His name's Frank, too, so all three of them are Frank. That's it. Yeah,
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, then we will have our invocation led by Pastor Dave Hawes from the Well and Scott Maxwell from the Board of Directors from the Farm Bureau. If you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance after.
Well, it is an honor to be with you. We want you guys to know this isn't just a one-time thing. We love to lift you guys up in prayer on a regular basis, and we're grateful for what you do. So it's an honor to be here. Let's pray. Father, we love you so much. Just grateful for men and women in our city and in our county who care about this place so much. I look around this room and I see men and women who truly believe that things can and will be better. And so I thank you that you're a God of hope. I thank you that you're a God of the future as well as the present. And so I thank you for how these men and women are taking where we are right now and moving us to where you want us to go. So I pray as tough decisions need to be made, as tough conversations need to be had, Lord, I pray that you would be in it and through all of it, that you would lead us, lead this city, lead this county where you want it to go, that we would be a place where people come and experience your hope and experience your life. So thank you for the decisions that will be made today. I pray that they would be what you would want them to be. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Led like a true Eagle Scout. Well done, Scott.
What's that?
All right. Now we will go to item 4, public comment.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record.
Good morning. My name is Bill Ritchie. I'm a resident of Raymond, and I come to speak as an advocate for public safety. This is not related to the item that you'll be talking about later, but in public safety in general. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. It's been about a year and a half since I've addressed your board regarding the state of public protection as it relates to fire protection in Madera County. I come again today to say thank you for the continued steps and effort that you all have committed yourselves to in making improvements in fire protection, enhanced response times, following through on the promises you made after Measure L failed by providing enhanced equipment, new equipment, safer equipment for the public and our fire personnel. With 2020 coming up, I'm just going to ask you folks again to keep in the high priority in your minds as you work through these issues that it'll be 3 years pretty soon since Truck 8 for Station 8 for Chansey Casino has arrived at Madera County. I want to encourage you and ask that you continue to work very aggressively to resolve the issues over staffing and funding for how that truck will be put into service. Again, besides needed for the high-rise characteristics of that hotel, that truck has very many unique state-of-the-art configurations that will assist with rescues, extra manpower for technical rescues, hazardous materials, and the effectiveness and safety of the firefighting effort on the fire ground for our firefighters. And so let's do everything we can so that we're not looking beyond 3 years to get this very fine piece of equipment into service. And that concludes my comment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, supervisors. Elsa Laura Gallego. I'm sorry, I just got married. I keep forgetting my married name. Elsa Laura Lugo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Community member of this great county of Madera County, also lead organizer for UDW, Home Care Providers Union, and here standing with me are two home care providers here for Madera County. We were bargaining, not to discuss bargaining, but we were at bargaining last week on Thursday, and we are hoping, following and piggyback on the prayer of the pastor this morning, that this county is going to do right by its members, by its residents, who are also IHSS home care providers. IHSS home care providers live and thrive in this community, in the county of Madera, in the city of Madera. They are not only family providers, but they also provide care for their neighbors and those who need to, stay in their home. Because as we know, private home care is very expensive. Private home care does not equate to quality care. And also, if we're looking at costs, home care providers save millions of dollars to both state and county. So we hope that you will do the right thing, that this is a community of faith and of prayer. As every Board of Supervisors session, there is an invocation as such. And following on that lead, that you will do that right thing, especially because home care providers put their lives at risk caring for individuals that they don't know what conditions they're in. And when they walk out of their homes, those homes after they've done work, no gloves, no mask, with all due respect, I see Supervisor Master Rodriguez coughed, and he coughed into a napkin to protect everybody else. But home care providers don't have gloves and don't have masks to protect themselves. They walk out of a client's home, they'll go to the supermarket, they'll meet other folks, and whatever they've walked out with, they've just carried it out into the community. So for public safety, for individual health and protection, for respect, we believe that this body will do the right thing by home care providers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board of Supervisors, Sarah Boss, Public Health Director. I'm happy to let you know that this Friday we will begin the move of the Department of Public Health to our new facility. We will close our doors at the old facility at 2 p.m. and open up again at noon the following Monday, with limited services beginning on Monday until we become fully operational, probably about Wednesday of next week.
Whoopee, whoopee, whoopee.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We look forward to having the opportunity to schedule time to give you a tour, each of you, of the new facility and all of the updated equipment and facilities that we have. We also want to make sure that if there's any disruption to our to the public with regards to our phone system, that they go ahead and use the 311 service to be able to be connected with public health staff. We're putting information on doors and outside the building to direct people where to go, and also the website and Facebook, of course. But using 311 will be very helpful to get people connected, especially if it's an urgent matter like a birth or a death record or a medical authorization, something like that.
Will we have anybody there to have a warm body to tell people where to go or where we're at, or will it just be?
That's our goal. That's our goal. We are putting lots of signage up at the building, and of course, it's just up the street. The new location is at the corner of Road 28 and Sunrise, directly across the street from Virginia Lee Rose School. And so it's going to be very easy for people, even if they come to the wrong location, it's just a quick drive up the street or walk to get to the new facility. And people should also understand that while public health is moving into their building, construction of the Department of Social Services buildings will be happening all around the public health building, of course, fenced off. The access will be off of Sunrise to get into the parking lot, and we'll have as much signage as we can to direct folks where they need to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exciting. All right, Supervisor, is there any other public comment? Supervisor Wheeler had one, and then David, you can.
Okay, let me go ahead. Okay, I just, first of all, I wanted you to know I wore my veterans tie and flags because President Trump made the whole month of November as Veterans Month instead of just one day. So I decided I'd just celebrate it that way. So, and the second thing is, Jay, this article in Fresno Bee the other day about the new California law requires that the 911 systems can accept text messages, and Fresno County is doing it. So I brought this article for you to look at and see if we could do it for Madera County. I think it's very important. So before I shoot somebody that's breaking into my house, I don't have to yell on the phone my address. I can text it in and then shoot the sucker. So, but I think it's a great deal. And the next thing I wanted to thank the U.S. Fish and Game and Wildlife Service announced that termination that the California spotted owl does not require protection under the Endangered Species Act. Hallelujah! I said that for 30 years, and now it's shut our mills down, and now it's not endangered. Sucks.
It's because the mills are going.
Yeah, exactly. And then I wanted to thank. I got the history group, across the street. They sent out a flyer if you're a member, so every one of you should be a member of it. Todd Miller won the best dressed county costume winner. He looks like an old dude, and he is anyway. But they, all three groups, Tracy's office, his office, and the assessor's office, all dressed up, and they have it all in there. I just wanted to thank our staff and our people doing that. I thought it was great. And then last thing is that I'm on the the air board, and if you know anybody that's got a truck that's going 2020 is the date that those new regulations take effect, and we got millions of dollars, literally millions, for people to buy trucks. And I know one guy in North Fork, he's bought one, and he got like $90,000 from the air board to replace his truck. So please tell your friends, if you know anybody that's got trucks, to do that. Come, if you can't find it, it's easy to find the air board online. If you can't, call me and I'll give you the number and get it done. So thank you.
Supervisor Rogers?
I will definitely knock before I come to your house, Tom.
You better.
We continue to have wonderful workers and people who work for Madera County, people who have invested their life in working for our county, and they do a great job. And I'm blessed today to introduce my new Chief of Staff, Danielle Aniquez, and I'd like for her to come up and maybe say a word if she'd like. But just so happy to have Danielle as my new Chief of Staff for District 2. And she's already hit the ground running and doing a wonderful job. And one of the things I really appreciate about Danielle is not only is she efficient and very well-rounded in her skills, but she always has a smile on her face, and she does this job with such great customer service. And that's very important to me. So I'm very proud to introduce her, Danielle.
Yeah, sorry, here. No, good morning. I'm truly appreciative for this opportunity. It's going to be a learning curve and a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. And David's been great. Everyone's welcomed me into the office, and Melissa's been a great help. Rhonda, everyone, and I really look forward to this. It's going to be exciting.
Nice to have you
Yeah.
part of the team.
Hey,
Thank you.
Dave, so you know, David, this morning, her and I both had our cars getting fixed at Madera Chevrolet, the best place to buy a car in Madera, a Chevrolet or a Toyota. I don't like Toyotas, but she's got a Toyota. But so we rode on they got a shuttle. So they brought us to work, and I really educated her about you, so you got her made now. We got her made now.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
What's a Toyota? Do we have a Toyota dealership here?
What are they?
Toyota.
Oh, yeah, Toyota to me. I got to tie them up and put them someplace.
I have one other thing that I want to address this morning, and as Tom said, the president has declared this month Veterans Month, and this morning I awoke, as I have for 60 years, in a free America, and every day of that freedom is because of the sacrifice of an American veteran. Living in dead, they've done what no others have done. They have purchased our freedom with their own blood. Even those who were not wounded did not withhold their life's blood from being shed. They are the ultimate example of the love of God, who gave the life of his Son to purchase our salvation. The Bible says that greater love hath no man than this, than he would lay down his life for his friends. Well, we're here this month to celebrate and to congratulate and honor those who have been our courageous friends. They were there when called upon. They were there at Flanders Field, the sandy beaches and hedgerows of Normandy. They were there in Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Iwo Jima, Midway, Coral Sea, Sicily, the Bulge. Their blood was spilt at Incheon, Pork Chop Hill, the Idrang Valley, Kaesong, Dong Ap Bai, and 1,000 other rice paddies and unknown hilltops. The desert sands of the Middle East are still wet with the blood of our brave young boys and girls. All sacrifice, all of the blood spilt, has kept the American flag waving on high as a beacon of hope, the citadel of freedom. Everywhere the flag has been raised, it was lifted there by the sacrifice of the American veteran. Everywhere that freedom reigns, freedom is there because of the sacrifice of the American veteran. Long may our flag wave in honor and respect as a memorial to their unwavering love and devotion to that cause for which they gave so much. When we look at the flag, it should be a memorial to those veterans. It means so much to them. It begins in their service with their training. Every day when they arise, they salute the flag as it's raised. In the evening when they go to bed, it's taken down and they salute the flag as it's retired for the evening. When they charge up a hill, it's alongside them. And when they win that hill, it's raised like it was at Iwo Jima. And when they draw their last breath, finally, it's draped over their body in honor and handed to their loving relative who sacrificed for this country. We should sacrifice and remember and respect and memorialize the flag because of the veteran who has died to keep it waving on high. God bless the American veteran, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
after Dave said that, it reminded me what Norm Allender did for us, all of us, and a veteran. Last week, a friend of mine, Amy Hampson, called me and said her dad, Lyle Joe Halsey, who is very old, I think. I hate to say it that way, but he's a veteran, and his wife has cancer real bad, so she usually gets him a flag every year to put up, replace the flag on Veterans Day, and she said she can't do it, so she called me, wanted to know if I knew anybody could get a flag. So I figured the veterans done it, so I called Norm Allender, who is our local, used to work for us, and our local VFW member. He says, I'll get you one. So I told her that, and she texted me Monday and said, when you might do it, and I texted Norm, and he says, we're going to do it tomorrow, Veterans Day. So he called me about 9:30, and we met up at their house at Indian Lakes, and he has a flag with a pole and everything, it has the rope and the whole works. So he brought his 2 kids up, the twins, and we took a picture of all of us outside with the new flag, and then we put a new flag up. And this is what Amy sent me after we left. My dad was too emotional and weak to stay out, but he was sure appreciative. He still had tears in his eyes when I came in. Thank you so much, Tom and Norman Allender. You are a gem. So that was pretty neat, and it was neat to watch him appreciate that flag being put up. So thank you. Thank you, veterans, very much. My dad and both brothers, so thank you. Bye.
All right. Thank you for those words, both of you. I think that the whole board shares those, and very well stated. All right. I will now close the public comment portion. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there any items on the consent calendar anyone would like to pull? Supervisor Wheeler?
G and P. I can Paul and on G, Community Economic Development Department Planning Division. We're going to go after that grant. I was just wondering if we could combine that with those dollars with maybe those opportunity zones developments that we're going to be looking for, especially for housing. And I was just wondering if we could kind of incorporate that too and part of that, see if it might work.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jamie Bax with Planning. Yes, we can actually absolutely look into that and see how that can work and combine the two. We can definitely do
And
that.
just part of it, you
Sure.
know, so that they know we'd be looking that way too, because there's some places we could probably use this money that's not in opportunity zone, but if we can, we could take advantage of it and have, you know, double, triple, 4 times that money.
Yes, absolutely. Supervisor Wheeler, Matt Treber, Planning Director. So the primary, these funds are coming down from the state, and we've met with our representative at the state level who's been contracted to assist in the grant application. So the primary focus was we're looking at a potential update of our zoning ordinance to facilitate and allow for that, but certainly we can get with them and talk about the opportunities, as Jamie spoke about, pushing some of those dollars and seeing what we can do specifically in the opportunity zones for that.
Okay, thank you. And then on item P, that's the Bass Lake Sewer District. The church is transferring 3 sewer units to another property, and is that when they transfer those out of there, how many lots does the church have, and will that make them not have a deficiency in their sewer system that they might have to have?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Jared with Public Works. So with this transfer, what it will leave for the church is they will have enough units left for what they need to do. So they're not going to have a deficiency. Okay. Yeah. One of the lots that they're transferring from doesn't have anything built on it right now.
What if they do, though?
They'll still have sufficient unit to do it.
Okay, that's all I care about, because I don't want to, down the road, say, you know, they
Right.
want to come to us and see how they can beg, borrow, and steal a unit when they're probably selling these, I imagine. Yeah.
Correct.
Right, so I just wanted to make sure, so, okay. I got one more, I forgot. R.
Which one? R?
Yeah. That's MD 95. Is this fund separate from their water district?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrea Saldati, Deputy Director of Public Works. Yes, it is, sir. They have a water fund and then they have a roads fund. This is a transfer out of the roads fund.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, separate and not doing it, so that's all I have, sir.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, any public comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
All right, item 7A.
7A, County Administration Department, General Services Division, purchase of real property, portion of APN-029-080-013. Discussion and consideration to adopt a resolution approving the purchase of real property for a fire station and authorizing the chairman of the board to sign the purchase agreements and any subsequent documents regarding APN 029-080-0013. Discussion and consideration to approve the release of request for qualifications for architectural and engineering services for Fire Station Number 3 project. Discussion and consideration of the approval of transfer of appropriations number 19058 in the amount of $50,000. Discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 19059 in the amount of $50,000.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Maria Miranda here with General Services, here with Jorge Mendoza, our project manager, and Matt Watson, our assistant fire chief. Before your board for consideration today is a purchase of real property for the permanent fire station number 3 location. To provide some background, the former fire station 3 location was off Road 26 and Avenue 18.5. The county began leasing the property back in 1986 when we moved a 552 square foot mobile home to the site and constructed a 1,700 square foot apparatus bay. In 2017, the fire department vacated the station due to the dilapidated condition of the trailer. Here we just have a photo of the former fire station. You can see the mobile home trailer there and the 2-engine apparatus bay. Since then, staff has been working to find a new permanent location for the fire station. We were looking for approximately 2 acres of property, ideally in the area of Avenue 21 and Road 26, with easy access to those main roadways. Fire wanted to ensure that the location would adequately serve the area for the next 20 plus years and provide the necessary response times. Although no property was listed for sale in that area, Pacific Orchards LLC was willing to sell the county 2 acres of its 18-acre site at the corner of Avenue 21 and Road 26 under the following purchasing terms. The purchase price would be $100. The county would pay all survey costs to divide the property, the escrow, and title fees. The county would allow joint use of our on-site utilities, and the seller would have the right to propose a name for the fire station that would be subject to your board's approval. The county would begin construction of the station within 3 years of closing, and the county would waive costs for a future general plan amendment rezone application or conditional use permit for the remainder of that parcel. Here we just have a picture of the parcel map. The owner is reserving the very corner of the property for their potential future commercial development. Our fire station property would be 350 feet from the corner of Road 26 and Avenue 21.
Good morning, board. So the project scope, we've been working with some conceptual planning with RRM as architects. The current anticipated size of the building is approximately 7,300 square feet. We have 2 55 apparatus bays, associated shop, janitors, and storage spaces, an exercise room, kitchen, dining, and day rooms, 3 bunk rooms, and then 2 bathrooms. There will be a captain's office, a conference room, and a public lobby. As far as the exterior, we'll have a fuel tank and backup generator, and it's a secure perimeter fencing. And the next slide shows the layout that we're proposing for this site. We're only developing out of the 2 acres, 1 acre, with obviously room for expansion if it's needed in the future. Next steps, the county will pay the survey costs to divide the property and escrow and title costs. we'll issue a contract for design services and finalize the contract drawings and specifications. At that point, we'll go out to bid for construction, as Maria stated, within the next 3 years. With that, I'll open it up for questions you guys may have.
I have one in regards to the design. I know we're doing other ones, and I don't know if those, we can just use those so we're not having to pay for another design service, or if that's the case, if there's some way that when we design this one, because as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't, I don't want this to be the last fire station we build. So I'd like to have it where we can buy the design so that we can replicate it wherever else we need. Obviously, there's different issues in terms of the hookups and all of that, but as far as the overall design, I don't want to keep paying for it. So I don't know if there's some way to buy the design and we have it replicable for future sites. Is that
so?
doable?
The county did do a space needs analysis for future fire stations, depending on whether it's going to be one staffed engine or two staffed engine, would determine how many bedrooms and square footage needed. So this preliminary design was done out of that study, which will save the project
We did that a few
costs
years ago.
and speed it up about 6 months. So it was good to do then, and it'll benefit the county in the future and save costs on all future stations.
Perfect. That's,
Yeah, we brought that up, I think you were on the board when we done the one up there, and you.
yeah, well, I know we had,
To make sure
we had talked about it then, and then when I saw that we were having to do a new design, that was my question, was don't we already have that? And so it sounds like we kind of do.
So we have the space needs analysis, which determines
Just
square
determines,
footage.
okay.
The actual plans and all that would have to be configured to the location. And the one that we've done so far is projected to be a 2-engine station in the future, so it's quite a bit larger in square footage.
And I just think this is great that, I mean, this Station 3 was just in such bad shape, and, you know, to have this now before us, and there's a huge burden that's taken off thanks to the Maxwell family for bringing this forward and being willing to sell it. And so I just want to say thank you on that portion to it. It allows us to have better protection because of that public-private partnership. I appreciate it. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, first, thanks to Maxwell family too, and things we're giving up to do that, you know, the CUP, whatever they might need, is a small amount of that property, so thank you guys very much. Can't thank you enough. And on page 6, is that a railroad track, Highway 99, what is that going across that?
Right across the middle.
Good question. And the other was a statement on page 7. The exterior fuel tank and backup generators, that is where the PG&E, when they turn the electric off.
Say that again?
I was making a joke of it, so. Good old PG&E, I feel sorry for.
There's no notation on what that is.
The old railroad track right away?
Not even really used, is it?
Yeah, there's not an actual railroad there now.
So it's an abandoned railroad track for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably, we got a lot of them up in the mountains up there when they had the railroads, you know, going down to Clovis and down here to Madera. And some of the landowners had to actually buy those back from the, I helped one of our ranchers up there buy one of those back from the railroad.
We bought them back. That was the line that used to run the 22-mile house.
Oh, it is? Okay, see, that's come from the mountains too then. Yeah, they had all those right-of-ways in those days, so, thank you. Great job, I can't.
Glad you bought it back. Poor railroads, I mean, they needed to get some more money. All right, Supervisor Rogers.
Yes, I couldn't be more excited with the location of this facility, given the fact that the railroad tracks are directly south of that, and they're not in between. They're not going to hinder the progress of the fire apparatus to any site in the country club or in the acres, and they have, you know, a free zone to operate in that area, which gives it excellent response time. And I'm so grateful to the Maxwell family. I've expressed to them many times before, and once again, their name enters into the picture for Madera County. And I want to just say, as I've said before, that they are a ship, they're a tide that raises all ships both small and great, and they have been a river to this community, and we thank them again for their contribution. And you know, public safety is such an important thing, and to serve this area, there are 10,000 people in that region that need fire safety, and it's just a great blessing to be able to do it at this cost and at the level that we're doing it here. It's just the ideal location. It's the ideal site. And it could also serve the lakes, Madera Lakes region, which is badly in need of that kind of assistance as well. So I see it as an all-around winner for the entire region. Thank you very much. One question. The old the old double car facility, double truck facility. Is there any use for that? Does that stay on site? What's the prospects for that?
So that property is currently being leased, and we're still paying lease on that because we do have fire equipment stored in that apparatus space still.
Okay.
So it'll just turn back over to the water district.
So the facilities and all will go back. Will we remove any equipment at all from that?
There is some language in the current MOU agreement with them, and we'll work through that process on what they want taken out.
I'm sure they don't want the double wide, but they would like the apparatus bay, I would imagine, for their trucks. And all right, any other questions or comments? Any public comment regarding this item? Did you even know about this, Bill?
Yes. Of course. I wouldn't let this go by. Mr. Chairman and board members and county staff, Maxwell family, I just have to say that, watching and being involved as an advocate for public safety fire protection in the last 6 or 7 years, this just tickles me to death. I've said many times, response times is what saves lives and property and prevents an expansion, conflagration of emergencies to bigger disasters. I can't say enough about what Supervisor Rogers was saying about this location. I've had some of my social media and residents, friends in Madera Acres say, well, that's too far out. And I assure them that no, it's not. It's 2.5 miles. The other thing is under the great leadership of Madera City CAL FIRE, Madera County CAL FIRE, men that are in this room today that make this all happen, the people in that area benefit from a very great response from instant aid and mutual aid, and this is only going to get better as this project pushes forward. I'd just like to say one thing from a historical perspective. As you know, growing up in Chowchilla and witnessing what happened in the 80s, of all the supervisorial districts in the county, District 2, really has paid the dues in exchange for expansion and reallocation of fire services in other areas of the county where growth was occurring. And previous boards of supervisors took from District 2 and ignored this. They did not fund the public safety services, nor did they require developers in other areas of the county to help carry the overhead costs of this extra burden. And even though the public can be outspoken, this board is making progress on these things, steady progress. I know I'm a harsh critic at times, and I'm your biggest advocate. I push hard, but it's all for good reason. I'm thankful to each and every one of you, and David, I'm especially thankful to you for bringing this to fruition.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
I want to just say I appreciate your advocacy, and your heart is in the right spot, and we are in concert with you.
Thank you, Bill.
Jim Maxwell. We just wanted to say that we, as you know, are advocates of public-private partnerships. And we've tried to encourage those in a number of arenas, and we think this is a great example of what can be accomplished when we all work together. So we are particularly grateful for Dave Rogers, Eric Fleming, and these fire guys who are tough negotiators. When they said they wanted to buy the property, we thought they wanted to pay for it, but apparently they didn't. My son Scott has had the patience to work with the county on this, and he reminds me that right when he graduated from Cal Poly, this process was already underway. That was in 2008.
Wow.
And he is stuck with it. These guys have stuck with it. And so it's taken a long time to get to where we are here today. So we're grateful for it. We think it is a superb location. We have a lot of employees that live out in places like Lake Madera Ranchos and Valley Lake Ranchos and Madera Acres, etc. And we think this is certainly going to improve the fire protection to their homes, in addition to houses that are on a lot of farms that we have in that area. So we're grateful. We hope you'll approve it. We think it's good for everybody and a win-win for the public, and it's certainly a win for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll call close to public comment. David, I think this would probably be your.
Boy, with great pride, I move to approve items 7A, 1 through 4.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Absolutely. And with that, if, with that as a sign of our gratitude for this public-private partnership, if we can have the Maxwell family come down. Matt, if you want to stay too, we're going to present a plaque to thank. Jimbo? Fire? Come on, fire. No, I think you'll be here too. Oh, I would like to have you up there.
One other thing that I'd like to clarify for everybody is we keep talking about the Maxwell family. This is, the Maxwell family's involved in this. Yes, we are an owner of the property, but we're not the only owner of this property. We have a partner that owns this with us, that owns a lot of other properties in Madera, the Pestalozzi family, and so I'm a little uncomfortable. You guys are giving us too much credit. It is, okay, it's Pacific Orchards. That's correct. That's correct.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I'd also like to thank our CAO, Eric Fleming, for spearheading this, making sure that it got done, and he was a driving force in this as well. So we don't want to forget that great things happen when our people get behind good plans and dreams and goals.
All right. Now,
Public hearing?
yeah, let's go to the public hearings because we're still waiting on some people. So, item 6A.
6A, Board of Directors, Special Districts, Maintenance District Number 42, Meadowview Drive, Public Works Department, Maintenance and Operations Division. Hearing to consider an adoption of a resolution establishing an increase in assessment for the road maintenance at MD 42, Meadowview Drive.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Abel Khayat, Public Works Director. With me here is Ms. Andrea Saldati, our Deputy Director of Administrative Division, and Mr. Phil Toller, Deputy Director for Maintenance and Ops. We're here today for the final step in Proposition 218 process. MD 42, Meadowview Drive, engaged the county to help preserve their roads. A community meeting was held at the Oakhurst Library on January 22nd, 2019, where the property owners asked the department to initiate a Prop 218 election to raise their annual assessment in an effort to support some more road repairs. An assessment engineer's report has been completed, and your board passed a resolution of intent on September 3rd. As a result of that action, the department mailed notices and official ballots to each property owner. We are here today to tabulate those ballots. If majority is in favor of the proposed assessment, the department recommends your board approve the final resolution increasing the annual assessment. If the majority opposes the proposed increase, then the annual assessment will remain as is. So thank you, and we're here and available for any questions. Okay.
What were the votes?
We're counting. Let's tabulate the votes. Yeah, go ahead.
Chairman, as staff counts the votes, then it might be good to open up the public hearing and add those as part of any count.
I will open the public hearing for this item. Is there any members from the public or from MD 42 here to speak in favor or in opposition to?
Now's the time.
Good morning.
You pull that down.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Meeker. I'm currently the board president of the homeowners board in Still Meadow 2 subdivision, MD 42 roads. We did have a meeting back in January. Everyone there with the quorum of the homeowners voted in favor of moving along with this process. The three-member board is in favor of this. We're waiting to see what the vote is going to be, and hopefully it will be in favor. And if not, then I think I'll probably speak with our friends here to see what our next steps might be. And that's all I have to say. So hopefully it's a yes, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your service for doing that.
It would be pretty difficult for the board to go against a unanimous group of residents.
Right, that was a quorum in January that we had, and just met a quorum. It's always hard to get everybody together. And so that was a unanimous vote to go forward with this process. Then we had the vote, and there was quite a vocal minority, which got me concerned. Obviously, they're just concerned with the how the inflationary process will work. And so I didn't really have any answers for them on that. So I guess we'll just have to wait.
It's always been really low since we've been doing this for over 10 years now, and it's.
So we'll close the public hearing, then we'll let our staff. Is there any other members of the public wishing to make comment at this time? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. If you can explain the
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
inflationary and what it's tied to.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, while we tabulate, it's going to take a little more time. I recommend if you would keep the public hearing open, and we could move to your discretion to
Do
the next
number
item, and
6B.
we can come back.
Okay, so let's keep that public hearing open right now while we're tabulating, and then we will actually move on to 7B. We have the warden from Department of Corrections, so we'll, in deference to his time. Thank you. 7B?
7B, hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the charging of a fee for groundwater sustainability
No,
programs.
7B. 7B,
Oh,
not
7, I'm
6B.
sorry.
B like a boy.
Sorry. 7B, Public Works Department Engineering Services Division. Discussion and direction on implementing proposed supplemental countermeasures at the Avenue 24 and Route 22 intersection.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Alakat Public Works Director. With me here is Mr. Jared Carter, Deputy Director for Engineering Services. We're here for a discussion and direction on implementing proposed supplemental countermeasures at the Avenue 24 and Avenue 22 intersection. The County Public Works Department, in partnership with the California Highway Patrol, is continually tracking and monitoring vehicle collision histories throughout the county. As part of this monitoring process, the department and CHP have noticed a recent spike in the frequency of collisions that have occurred at that intersection on Avenue 24 and Road 22 in north to northwest Madera County. The intersection is a four-leg, two-way stop controlled intersection with stop controls on the Road 22 approaches. All traffic control devices are in place in that intersection in accordance with the California Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices requirements. So the department has evaluated and presents the following supplemental countermeasures for consideration by your board. First, we'd like to recommend installing rumble strips. That gives you advance warning before you approach a stop sign. The only disadvantage here is rumble strips are not convenient for bikers and cyclists. So, but that gives a good alert, both noise and vibration. And the other countermeasure is converting the two-way stop sign control to an all-way, multi-way stop sign control intersection. Now, there may be a period of increased collisions, God forbid, while traffic adjusts to the new traffic if we add a new stop sign habits. So in summary, the department's findings from the intersection engineering analysis show that the intersection currently meets all requirements of the California Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. However, the supplemental countermeasures identified as option 1 and option 2 are presented for the board's consideration and direction regarding whether to implement these supplemental countermeasures. And we are here for your questions.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, you know, you can do all those studies you want, but when you got an intersection doing that, I can't even imagine why you wouldn't just put four-way stop. It don't even make sense. When I got one that's that bad, just like we did 274 and 225, you take care of it. Don't do all that studying.
I understand.
Do a four-way stop on that damn thing. Forget this stuff.
I think, yeah,
Get
I
it
think
done and get those rumble strips too, and it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I think the studies say that it's, that it
That
allows
goes
for to put in these countermeasures, right? And then I think if you have the rumble strips, like, they get put in at the same time as the stop signs, right? So that if you feel, and is that rumble strips coming from both ways or just one way?
The road is Road 22, so the rumble strips would go before the stop sign.
But would they also be
If we
on?
put four-way, so your recommendation is put four-way stop and rumble strips.
Rumble strips on all four ways, especially on the new stop, if, while they're getting used to the traffic pattern, is gonna make them know that something is different, so.
The study shows that it didn't really need four-way stop. That's what irks me.
Yeah.
I read that thing and it said they don't need it. Boom.
Yeah.
So that study away and protect somebody's life.
Yeah, we're remedying that.
It's
And
just,
if I may.
Supervisor
Oh,
Rogers
sorry.
has a question, and then.
Yeah, I want to just say in Ahmad's defense, there are measures that they must go through, and this is one of them. So, you know, when they meet with the California Highway Patrol and they have to go through these studies, because if we install something and then something comes as a result of our installation and we didn't do a study, then there is liability on our part for not, why didn't you study it? That's the first thing a lawyer.
When you kill somebody when you ain't got it.
I agree with you. You know, it's just lawyers control this situation more than common sense, and we know what happens when that happens. And no insult to our lawyer.
She's an attorney, not a lawyer, so
Yeah,
there's a big difference.
She's counselor.
Supervisor,
She's a real counselor.
Supervisor
She really
Rodriguez.
gets it. I want to say that.
Hold on.
You know, you have
Supervisor
to.
Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'll differ. You know, you have to have those studies, and the advocated four-way stop. But in addition to the four-way stops, you should have blinking lights on those stop signs. You know, I know that it hasn't been favorable in the county in the past, but you should have them because it's a safety factor. And anything you can do to advocate to make it safer, let's do it.
Yes.
Forget about the liability. You know, you have to have some that'll bring the attention to the drivers that these are the stop signs ahead of you.
From our analysis, Supervisor, I mean, we did look at the flashing beacons. Flashing beacons, unfortunately, they do go out sometimes.
Well, if they go out, you fix them, you replace them. Not replace them, you know, that's not a.
The rumble
When you
strips.
say they go out because the lights, whatever, wear out, then you replace them. Replace the lights.
We have a.
Yeah, everybody else is using them. Why are we against them?
May I?
Yes.
So we've looked at the flashing beacons. They are an enhanced countermeasure that would alert drivers to it.
Yes.
But their maintenance cost is high, that's one, and God forbid if they go out and something happens, again, we are creatures of habit. They say, I didn't see the light. The rumble strips, Supervisors, serve as a better countermeasure for early
Well, you
alert.
use both of them, you know, the rumbles and then also the flashing stop signs, you know, anything to improve the safety factor.
If that's
You
your
know,
board's
that make-
recommendation, we
Yeah.
will.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the flashers around the stop signs, I know that out on Howard Road and Westbury, or Road 24 and a half right there, the city put in a stop sign, and they did put the little flasher things around there. But I noticed recently that they're not operating anymore, but I don't think they have to operate for a long period of time. I think their use is mainly for an initial 3-month, 6-month, 1-year period to get people used to
it.
the fact
Yeah,
that
that's a
there's
good
a
idea.
stop sign
That's a
there.
good-
And then, to me, you could take it down, and by then, people are in the habit of stopping there. So I don't think that they have to be there forever.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah,
I'll get you, Mac.
I've had extensive experience with these flashing beacons, and unfortunately, you know, the public looks at those as a cure-all. And unfortunately, what's happening is they get shot out, they get stolen, there's a lot of things that happen to those flashing beacons. How many did we install over there in District 2 that were public-private partnerships?
Yes.
At least 4?
At least 4, we replaced 2, and now they're all out.
Now they're all gone. And it's you know, we had, under the private-public partnership, we had them buy, 4 extras or 2 extras? 2 extras. And we're not talking about an inexpensive proposition
They're
here.
about 1,500, aren't they?
They're more than that.
To install the 4, it cost us about $12,000.
So that's about.
So about 3 each with installation and labor.
And unfortunately, with the theft and the vandalism, it's an issue. It's a real issue, and I don't know how you solve that. But I agree with Supervisor Poitras. I think that initially it's an education tool. I think it helps to get people's attention and maybe I don't know if we can utilize that method of say put it up for 3 to 6 months and then tick them out.
Well, if they go out, then you just leave them in place without the flashing. I don't think adding, if it's already a higher cost, get it for 3 to 6 months and then come back in knowing that you're going to replace them with another cost. That's just, I mean, we're looking at another 75% when we already did the rumble strips, which don't go out. There's no batteries. No one's going to shoot out a rumble strip. There's nobody that doesn't know is going to make you think that your sound effects included. Supervisor Rodriguez.
You know, it's like graffiti, you know. Kids paint graffiti all over the place. City of Madera did that. They got, and then you paint over. Pretty soon the kids stop bothering you to do that. The same thing will happen with the shooting of signs. You got to do something like that because it's different. It works. You're not going to tell me it doesn't work if you got flashing lights on the stop sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Expensive? Yeah, but a life is more expensive too, or injuries.
So if we put them in knowing that they're going to go out, can we put it in as the, you know, whenever it goes out, then that no longer, we don't have to replace it with the lights?
So Chairman, we could install either the stop sign with the LEDs all around it, or just a flashing beacon on top of the sign, or with the rumble strips. I mean, and we can do whatever your board recommends.
What I'm saying is once if the light gets shot out or the stop sign gets stolen,
Disappears.
it doesn't need to be replaced. But for that initial time, as long as it's on to educate people along with the rumble strips to continue that understanding until people's habits get changed. Is there a way to do it that way?
I believe there are some cheaper ways also to do it. We could just have a proper stop sign, and then on a barricade, we could have a warning, you know, stop sign ahead, stop sign ahead, stop sign ahead for a couple months. And then because the new signs are so reflective, it's hard not to see.
What do you think, Max?
That works.
With the rumble strips?
My position is that I like the stop signs with single lights. You know, it just you warn people way ahead of time. You know, there's a stop sign there. The stop sign there. I like what the city of Madera does. They put those lights out there everywhere, and it works. Nobody's going to tell me it doesn't work.
The accidents that we saw, the spike in accidents, at what time of the day is that spike? Is it at during the day?
I believe one was in the evening. Most recently, one was in the evening, and then the other one was during the day. And there is another somewhat interesting anomaly to some of these recent accidents. I'm sorry, Jared with Public Works. We've found out that some of the navigation apps are taking tourists this route to get to Yosemite.
That's
So
right, you said that.
two of the accidents that recently occurred were with foreign travelers who were taking this route on their way to Yosemite, not realizing that they were, I guess they were on their way to Yosemite, but this is not. So, you know, that's one thing actually in our regional traffic safety group that we talked about this last meeting we had. And we're going to try to see if we can reach out to find out how we can work with some of that stuff, because it is very strange to us that it would direct people this route.
Can we bill Apple or Google for these stop signs, or?
Start charging them for them.
Siri, pay for a stop sign. It didn't work.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I'm on board, if I may, the data that we got from CHP for the accidents and reports is not extremely up to date. It's not up to today's state. We know there are these two recent unfortunate accidents where, unfortunately, there were some fatalities and very severe injuries. So the traffic study, Supervisor Wheeler, though it's necessary and it deemed these stop signs unwarranted, but I'm sure from my own judgment that once we add these two accidents, We're very close. We are already very close. I mean, this intersection, yes, we have a problem, and that's why I'm here in front of you to tell you, if your board chooses to convert this into a four-way stop, to a four-way stop, I'm in support to that. I do support it. It's just that we have to do our homework, and this is why we're here.
You know, I bet you it reroutes because of the traffic back up on 99. I bet you it takes them off.
Take
and
them
that's,
off there
that's
so they can
technically a
miss
faster way to
all of
go,
it, right.
just to go the back.
And they do that
route.
all the time.
I bet
Going
you
up
that's
99 to us.
I see the sheriff coming up. Always let him speak.
Jay Varney, Madera County Sheriff. Good morning, Board. You are correct. We think these people that are getting rerouted are southbound off of 99. They get sent up there. I will say, since that's, I don't think they're ever going to change their algorithm to prevent that from happening. They will lose customers and they'll lose revenue. So what you have here is a very large, very well designed, very wide open. You can see forever in each direction intersection. But for those of you who may, in your past or currently enjoy driving at a high rate of speed, if you can imagine a kid being on one of these, it looks like the kind of road you can go about 150 on. So the reason there's so many traffic fatalities there is from the driver inattention and from the energy transfer between the two vehicles, both going very fast and both striking each other. So I would just urge the board to take what action they feel necessary to reduce the amount of energy that occurs in collisions that happen there. I think you're on the right track with the rumble strips and the stop signs. If you do decide to go with the LED stop signs, you may check with the city of Chowchilla. I don't know if they make them in the size that is currently there. You can see those signs from a long ways off, and there's also MOD has posted the pre-signs, the signs that say there's a stop sign ahead. So I've been in the countries where they drive on the wrong side of the road. Their stop signs look exactly like ours, and you are supposed to stop at them. And before we go too far down that road and talk about roundabouts, I will end my comments there. But that might solve that solution, but it'd be very expensive.
Yeah. I think it'd be a great idea.
All right, so we'll open it up to public comment at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. I'm Ray Fisher, the warden at Valley State Prison. I've been the warden there since December the 1st of 2014. In my time as the warden there, I've responded personally to several accidents at that intersection. And I'm so grateful today that you guys are seriously taking a look at that to prevent that. I've met with the Public Works Department, Supervisor Rogers, Sheriff Varney, and the Highway Patrol on October the 9th of this year. And we made some inroads into making steps to be here today. Since that time, there was another accident there. And also, I want to bring to the attention of the board that two of the young ladies, we have a Big Brothers and Big Sisters program at the institution. We bring kids from the school to the institution for an hour once a month. And two of those young ladies who attend that, their mother and their aunt was killed at that intersection. Wow. So when we talk about money, and we talk about liability, and we talk about attorneys,
Don't mean nothing.
it really don't mean anything to me. That's why I was urged to have the meeting that I had at the institution. In regards to the flashing stop signs and the concern about them being shot out, it's at the intersection of two prisons. And I guarantee you, if there's gunshot being heard in that area, we have appropriate response to deal with that. I'm just, like I said, I'm so grateful that there's going to be action to take that. Because, you know, honestly, some of my staff are the first responders to some of those accidents. And it is a traumatic experience to go out there and see mangled bodies and things of that nature. I think the last accident involving the RV, some of my staff actually pulled people from those RVs from that accident. So I really do appreciate the cooperation to take steps to do this, because some of my staff, they were trying to sign a petition and they wanted to go to the media and all these things, and I was like, hold on.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do something, and I'm grateful, and thank you for the opportunity to address you here today.
Thank you, Warden, and you've been a great partner. I appreciate your passion and bringing that meeting together. That was great. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Supervisors. Madeline Harris from Leadership Council. This is an intersection that folks that we work with out in Fairmead have been talking about for a long time, that there's a solution needed. So again, want to echo the comments that you just made, Warden. Yeah, I think it's time for a solution here. There have been enough deaths and injuries, and folks continue to bring that up as a problem intersection. So whatever would be a visible and effective way of getting cars to slow down, and also to have not just a two-way stop, but a four-way stop, that's the feedback that I've been hearing from folks. So one of the suggestions that came up at one of our meetings a few months ago was the flashing lights, but whatever you think is going to be the most effective for people to see from a long distance away and to really slow cars down, not just on one direction, but on both, would be something that residents have brought up with us. So just wanted to echo that.
Thank you.
Jim Maxwell. Our employees, like the warden's employees, have assisted numerous people involved in very, very serious accidents at that intersection, including some of the recent fatalities. It's very traumatic. I have a group of my employees who have come to me and said, is there anything you can do to get a stop sign out there? This makes no sense. If money is the issue, again, public-private partnerships, let us know and we'll see if we can help. But we would encourage you to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Money wasn't the issue, but it's an issue, Jim, so. Right, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment, bring it back to the board for action and recommendation.
I want to make a motion that we install the rumble strips, four-way stop, and flashing beacons at Avenue 24 and Road 22.
Second. You didn't hit the vote deal.
Thank you.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, staff. That was much needed.
Yes, sir. Bonus day in District 2. Yeah.
Got the numbers for us?
All right, back to 6A.
6A, the tally of the votes were 17 in favor and 9 opposed.
Is that enough to pass?
That's correct. Supervisor Phil Toller with Public Works Department. With that favorable vote, we would, the department would recommend your board adopt the final resolution adjusting the assessment.
Got one down.
All right, is there any further public comment knowing the vote? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public hearing. And
Move to approve the increase with the cost of living.
Second.
Man,
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
yes,
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, people in District 42. You're taking care of your own destiny. That's all I can tell you.
so that's to remove rumble strips from 42. All right,
6B.
yeah, we'll go to 6B now.
6B, Water and Natural Resources Department. Hearing to
Do we need Mike Linden for this, or is? Okay, we're good?
Hearing to consider adoption of a resolution approving the charging of a fee for groundwater sustainability programs pursuant to Water Code Section 10730.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Stephanie Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. I'm here with Kevin Kostick from Raftellus, a rate consultant. We have a short presentation to recap our work over the past few months. And just a note, you are sitting as the board of the GSAs, not just the Board of Supervisors right now. Okay, I will go over the study timeline and outreach, the study process, the proposed fees, a quick fee comparison that Kevin did, and then the variance or appeals process and implementation. So we've shown you this diagram before. I think it's very helpful in understanding this particular Prop 26 exempt fee. The fee can pay for administration and planning, but it cannot pay for projects. So this cannot remove a rundo. It does, for example, though, buy you essentially a water agency. So you now have the power to plan, and as Supervisor Wheeler said, to take charge of our destiny under Sigma. So the study schedule, we began in June. We gathered data and analyzed it from June through September. We brought policy objectives to you in September. You selected a fee model in October. And then we published a fee study report October 22nd. We have completed 3 weeks of public noticing in the Madera Tribune. And we are bringing the proposed fee adoption to you today on the 12th. It has to be done before the GSPs are adopted, and we're currently looking at December 17th for all 3 GSPs. The fees would be implemented in the fall of 2020. They would go in those October tax bills. In terms of outreach, we've met with you as the Board of Supervisors and Board of Directors for the County GSA. I met with Clayton Water District. I also have briefed the advisory committee for the County GSA several months in a row. We've spontaneously done short presentations at Chowchilla Water District and Gravelly Ford Water District. They're very curious what the County GSA is doing, and they're eager for us to take charge. I've also done several evening presentations for the Madera Chowchilla RCD, the Resource Conservation District. I also met with Edgar Dieger from Sierra Vista to explain the fee to him, the Red Top landowners, and did another spontaneous presentation at the Chowchilla GSP Advisory Committee. And I briefed the Regional Water Management Group and the Madera Ag Water Association as well. So we've done considerable outreach to make sure people are aware of this fee. In terms of how it all pencils out, the total fee is $2.4 million. It's divided into 3 primary categories. The regulatory requirements include a data management system, ways of estimating water use, an annual report that's required by DWR, a portion of the 5-year updates, and installing monitoring wells. Now, we have installed 7 monitoring wells in the Madera and 7 in the Chowchilla subbasin. Those need to be located in disadvantaged communities or severely disadvantaged communities to fit the requirements of the grant, which means we have not put one in the ranchos. So this money would allow us to hit those areas where they don't have grant funding for monitoring wells. In terms of professional services, we have a couple of key elements. One is project-based studies to do a phased recharge activity and plan for that. And then we're also, we have funding to create an incentive-based structure, which would incentivize resting or taking some land out of production incrementally. We also have support for our Central Valley Project contract within the professional services category, and legal services within there as well. GSA staff, that's fairly self-explanatory. Administrative expenses, that includes what we pay, which is some version of rent, travel, memberships, and then standard office expenses. So Kevin's gonna give an overview of the key decision points right now.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Kevin Kostick from Raftellus. A slide here just to remind us of some of the key decisions that we've made along the way, both the September meeting we met with you and the October meeting as well. The first is that the fee is proposed to be on the irrigated acreage of a parcel, so not the full area of a parcel, but just that's irrigated. The classes that the fee would be levied against include all users of water other than our de minimis users. De minimis users are that next bullet point, rural residential. So under Sigma, you're a de minimis user if you're domestic in nature and use less than 2 acre-feet per year of water. And so all parcels that are designated residential by the county would be exempt from this fee. The next one is grazing or rangeland. We agreed that any irrigated portion of a parcel that's designated as grazing land or rangeland would be levied the fee. So imagine you have 500 acres, but perhaps 20 acres is planted, you'd be levied a fee on those 20 acres. An overage allowance, we've compiled data from many different sets over the course of the study, and we know that data is not perfect, and so we've made a 10% allowance for that for purposes of calculating a fee between a variance with the data. And then it was decided that we should have one uniform charge for all users of water. So this equity between the classes. It doesn't matter the purpose of the water use. If it's irrigated, it doesn't matter the crop type. It doesn't matter if it's landscape irrigation or agricultural use. You'd be paying the same fee per irrigated acre. So the proposed fees, you saw this table last time. We have we'll call them our 4 main user classes. Broken out between irrigated agriculture, grazing rangeland, other classes, so those would be commercial or institutional type users, and then our residential users. The irrigated acres of each, you see an NA there for residential users because we're not capturing that irrigated area, they're exempt from the fee. So total irrigated acreage estimated at just shy of 107,000 acres. And then the fee per irrigated irrigated acre on the furthest right column, again, everybody paying the same uniform fee per irrigated acre of $22.45.
And just the grazing rangeland, if it's just grazing rangeland and there's no irrigated, it doesn't pay the fee. Once it converts or drills a well, then they pay this fee.
In the future, if that area was planted, with a subsequent update, we would capture that and they would be levied a charge. Correct.
Well, we're asking questions on that. I wrote it down, that's what I was going to do afterward, but maybe good time to do it. No, it's okay. How are you going to, like, it's got a, say, 500 acres of a ranch irrigated. How are you going to count up those acres? I mean, where there's a house and a shop and all that, how are you going to get that pretty close? So when you're paying this much, they're going to be wanting you pretty accurate.
Yeah, so we've compiled all that data and estimated what the irrigated area is of the parcel relative to the total. So, and this came up from
every piece of property in this area.
It's based on the assessor's roll.
Yes, based on the assessor's roll. Correct.
Perfect.
And Supervisor Rogers had a similar question last time around about building footprints and any outbuildings and so forth. And so that's been captured in the data. So our best estimates on the actual irrigated area of a parcel.
That sounds good to me.
All right.
So this next table just shows what the state intervention fees would be. So if GSPs weren't adopted, if a fee was not levied against these users, the state has the authority to come in to manage the basin, either in unmanaged areas or in basins that may be designated as probationary or have interim plans. And so to walk you through this, every irrigated parcel that had a private well would have to pay $300 per year as a base filing fee for the state. Additional to that, if the basins were designated as probationary, they would be paying $40 per acre foot of extracted water. Our de minimis users would also be charged a fee of $100 per well. So recall right now we're exempting those users, they would pay $0 with local control. The state would charge those users $100 per year just for having a well. And so we've done the side-by-side here for you just to do a quick comparison. So again, the residential users with local control from the GSAs adopting this fee today, they would pay $0, they're exempted. The state would charge them $100. Our non-residential users would be assessed a $300 base fee. And then what we've done here is converted the $40 per acre foot to, our proposed $22.45 cent fee to a cost per acre foot, right, going from area to volume. And you see the GSA fee that we're proposing here today translates to $6.42 per acre foot of extracted water versus what the state would impose at $40 per acre foot.
So we need an appeals process to be in place. We anticipate that most appeals could be handled informally with the assessor's office, and we've talked with them about what that might look like. Most likely, they would be doing a field visit or looking at land cover using current Google Maps and determining if the estimated irrigated acreage is accurate. There may be the need for a more formal appeals process as well, and we've spoken with the clerk of the board as well as the assessor's office about whether or not the assessor's appeal board could serve in an additional role where they hear any of these county GSA irrigated acreage complaints, and they certainly could. We could also have the Board of Supervisors serve as an appeal board. So we have those two options that are open right now.
So our recommendation to you would be to adopt the fees as they're proposed today, to adjust the fee on an annual basis so that we can account for the prior 12 months of an inflationary index. We're saying CPI here. We'd also ask that you revisit the fee, reevaluate it at the 5-year mark that corresponds with the first plan update, so it's a nice time to do so. And then we're going to assess the GSA's funding needs on an annual basis. We're going to be prudent with what the actual costs are. Obviously, we don't have historic costs. We're starting from scratch here, and we want to make sure that we're evaluating that on an annual basis. And so the next steps, hopefully adoption of the fee here today. We would submit a schedule to the assessor's office of all parcels affected by the fee before next August. The GSPs will come before you in December, and those would be implemented in January. And as Stephanie, I believe, mentioned before, a fee for this would be required to be adopted prior to GSP adoption next month.
I just wanted to take a moment to summarize the feedback we've received to date. Most people in general are understanding of the requirement that the state has made us responsible for 225,000 acres, of which we were not really responsible other than in general county jurisdictional ways before. We have received some interest in Mark Hudson. I think you heard from him last time, and the idea that farmers want to manage this on their own, which I agree, except that, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act made us responsible. So there's that piece. We have heard from Jarrett Martin, who's here for a Delta Mendota presentation, that there's some Delta Mendota folks, and there's not a ton of people in the 1,000 or so acres that are irrigated in Delta Mendota. They may use the appeals process given the different hydrology and sustainability going on in the Delta Mendota. But in general, people seem to be understanding of the necessity of this fee in order to manage their groundwater.
Is that the end of the presentation? All right, Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, when you say that, the input we received, it didn't appear to me that they were opposed to the fee, though, when they gave that input, even though, like Mark was talking about, self-managing, and that they wanted to be a part of that process. I think, yes, they want control of their process and their ability to manage groundwater and manage the circumstances. And I think in Mark's case, he's done extremely well, been a model for the rest of the county, and people are looking at that and saying, wow, you've really done an exceptional job there. But I don't think he was opposed to the fee overall. Was that your interpretation as well? Or am I wrong?
I'm not sure I can speak for Mark Hudson.
Yeah,
no one loves a fee.
Yeah, well, nobody loves it. We don't love it, but we have to do it.
State will.
And if it's unmanaged, we don't have an agency, the costs of the state coming in are much greater than what we can do here locally. And even if someone is self-managing, doing what they need to do, and that's good for their aims and how much water they're able to use, But at the end of the day, without an agency overseeing the entirety of the basin, we won't ever be able to come into compliance with the act, thereby taking away even the good actors doing what they're supposed to be doing. We won't have management, it can be adjudicated, and a lot of issues come down for all of them. So we do have to create that level of oversight, and without it, the state does, and I don't think that's a great thing for local control.
Well, I was going to say
Supervisor
too.
Wheeler?
Let me just finish up
yeah.
what I was going to say, that in addition to what Brett's saying, we have to regulate, we have to manage this. And there are a majority of good actors out there. There are people who want to get this solved, want to do it right. But you always have those who don't want to comply with the rules. And unfortunately, we live in a society like that. So that's where the fairness factor has to come in, and we have to be involved in the situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's so true. On that appeals board, you're saying there's two options that you want us to vote on today, whether we do the assessment board or the board of supervisors?
I can bring it back to you with more detail at a later time if you feel like you can move ahead with the fee today.
Do this, pass the regular, and then do that afterward?
Yes, I just
Okay,
want to know.
I have no problem with either one. I just think that maybe use both and have a second layer if they don't like their decision on the first one, so on AAB or whatever you call that
Double
board.
appeal.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what going
But
through
it's
the
something we
AAB
gotta
route
do. We
is
have
the
no
same
choice.
way as what they do now.
Assessment appeals,
Right.
and then comes to us. Yeah.
If it's not, they're not satisfied.
Because I didn't agendize the actual appeals process, I'll need to bring it back
Okay.
another time, but thank you
Okay.
for the direction.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Good morning, Mike Linden, Deputy County Counsel. First of all, pardon me for being late. But as far as the Assessment Appeals Board goes, your board would have to designate the Assessment Appeals Board for this. They are not naturally,
No,
or
no.
I should say under
No,
the law.
I agree with that.
For that, because it's not something that's
Right.
property related.
So we don't need to make that
Evaluation.
decision today, just directional on where to go.
Yes.
All right.
In that regard, go ahead.
Supervisor Poitras?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to the fee, I've talked to a lot of growers in the county-managed areas, and they're not only willing to pay the fee for the GSA, but they're also extremely interested in seeing some projects start taking place, so that some recharge projects, things
So
of that
that
sort.
money's doing something.
They're doing something because they recognize the desperate nature of farming in the county-managed areas. So that's something that they're really, and right now, MID growers are paying $95 an acre foot for ditch water. So, so this is a long ways away. It's still a very under-market type of fee to get this administration going. And without this, projects can't move forward.
Right,
So.
Right.
Thank you for that word.
Thank you. So when you had talked about monitoring wells, can those be done on existing municipal wells, or does it need to be a specific type of monitoring well?
Because of the way you want to take a reading on a monitoring well, it is much, much better to do a designated groundwater monitoring well, and that's what it does.
Okay, and then getting the, everything over by August, is that enough time to get it onto that October tax bill? Have we talked with the tax collector to make sure that that's enough time?
Yes, we have plenty of time to get it on the 2020 tax bill.
All right. Those are all my questions. Is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion and bring it back to the board for action and direction.
I'll move forward. I move to approve 6B, the Water and Natural Resources Department charging for a fee for groundwater sustainable programs pursuant to the Water Code Section 10730.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Max
Oh,
had said
Max
second.
did?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
All right, we're going to take like a 2-minute break and then come back. right, thank you, everybody. Let's try and power through all this. We've got
Power through it.
Power on through it. So if we go over 12 o'clock a little bit, is everyone fine with any lunch? Anyone have any set?
I can eat anytime I want, so I ain't got no appointment.
So proud of you. All right, so we'll probably get into 12 a little bit. Item 7C.
7C, Board of Directors, Groundwater Sustainability Agency for Madera, Chowchilla, and Delta Mendota Subbasins Water and Natural Resources Department. Update on Groundwater Sustainability Plan for the Delta Mendota Subbasin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Stephanie and Agneston again with an update on the Delta Mendota. As you know, we've taken to your board updates on Madera and Chowchilla, and now we're here for Delta Mendota. And I'm here with Jarrett Martin from CCID, and we're going to take your questions when we're done. So the outline of this presentation, we're going to talk about the GSP for the exchange contractors. CCID is one of those exchange contractors. We'll talk about cooperation with disadvantaged communities and severely disadvantaged communities. And then I'll take you through the outline of the Delta Mendota Subbasin in a very fun graphic.
Fun one, wow.
I know, it's a high promise. So the San Joaquin River Exchange Contractors, GSA, is a combination of Central California Irrigation District, San Luis Canal Company, Firebaugh Canal Water District, and Columbia Canal Company. So Jarrett's from CCID. Together they are the exchange contractors. 2 of them are water districts and 2 are mutuals. So in terms of groundwater management, the San Joaquin River Exchange Contractors have been working on it since the 1950s. I have a number of studies in this slide from 97, 2008, and 2012. So really what their goal with Sigma is to look at sustainability using information they had and that we're currently gathering with a Sigma lens. So one expression that is new is the GSP group. That's basically a group of GSAs that work together on one GSP. And within the GSP group in the Delta Mendota, there's 11 GSAs, which include 3 DACs, 3 SDACs, the exchange contractor, and the county-wide areas for Madera, Merced, and Fresno. And we've mentioned this before, we have only a very, very small portion of acreage within the Delta Mendota, approximately 3,000 acres, of which about 1,000 is irrigated. So there's a long relationship of historical cooperation with the local communities, and these are the covers of studies from Gustine from 92, Los Banos from 91, and Newman from 92. So this is the fun graphic. I hope it is everything I've promised.
I can't read it, it's too small.
I know. I'm going to walk you through it. So blue.
I'm making it bigger.
Blue is the north central Delta Mendota. So that's all one GSP group. We are in the purple Delta Mendota group. That's the exchange contractors taking the lead, and we are purple dot, second from the right at the bottom. Let's see if.
I see it.
Yep, right there. And then the single colored ones with only one entity include Grasslands, Farmers, Fresno, and Aliso.
That's the biggest, best little spot on the whole graph.
It's a pretty basic graphic. As you can imagine, the coordination is considerable, and Jarrett takes the lead there on our behalf. So when I began about 18 months ago, there was a coordination agreement that had mostly been ironed out, as well as a cost-sharing agreement. Coordination agreements, of course, are required when you have more than one GSP within a subbasin. One thing that they've decided to do is have a common chapter where the GSP groups for all 6 GSPs have the same chapter, and then they have their individual analysis. There have been considerable public workshops, and in terms of projects and management areas, right now they are pursuing partnerships with neighbors. There is a little bit of an increase in demand. It's all urban demand, however. Most of the demand for the area within our county is hardened, meaning it's kind of built to its capacity. It has the demand that it has. In terms of sustainable management criteria, exchange contractors view subsidence and stopping subsidence as of the utmost importance. So that concludes our brief presentation on the exchange contractors GSP, of which we are a small part. I would be glad to take any questions, and Jarrett's here. He could also answer questions.
We're in agreement, or you're in agreement with what this GSP aims to do and protect Madera County's ability to farm out there?
Yes, we are in agreement, certainly conceptually and most of the specifics about this GSP. And it does protect the folks who are in the Delta Mendota and still within Madera County.
Great. We appreciate you all taking the lead on this too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Good job.
Jared, did you have anything you wanted to add, or?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's good? No, that's, if you don't want to, that's fine. Yeah.
Any questions, I'd gladly answer them.
All right, is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment.
Just an update.
It's just an update. Thank you for being here, appreciate it.
Both of you, again.
Thank you.
We'd like to buy some water at.
Absolutely, every drop we can get.
All right. Item 7D.
7D, Workforce Development Board of Madera County. Workforce Development Board of Madera County Program Year 2018 to 19 Annual Report and Update by Executive Director.
Shouldn't say nothing.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm pleased to be here today to provide an update regarding our 2018-19 operations at the Workforce Development Board and answer any questions that you might have.
What are you doing here for?
Pardon me?
What are you here for?
I'm the Executive Director at the Workforce Development Board. Sorry, Tracy Scott Contreras, Executive Director.
Question.
Thank you. As you all know, the Workforce Development Board is a volunteer group that is appointed by this body to oversee workforce policy in the workforce system in Madera County. Our membership includes private sector businesses, labor representatives, community organizations, education, and public sector partners. The board currently consists of 26 members, 15 of whom represent private business in Madera County. In 2018-19, our funding came substantially from direct allocations via the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. That was approximately $2.8 million of our budget. Other grant funds, including competitive grants that we were awarded, and unrestricted funds, including foundation funds and revenue from our Ticket to Work program, brought our total funding for that program year to $3.1 million approximately. I did provide to you, and I hope it's in your packet, our program impact report for 2018-19. I will give you some highlights of that report, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address those. So as you know, we operate workforce services primarily out of the Workforce Assistance Center here in Madera, located at 2037 West Cleveland Avenue. During the PY 18-19 period, we had 45,205 visits to the one-stop. Approximately half of those visits were students that are attending classes at Madera Adult School, which is co-located in the facility with us. The other half were coming to visit other partner organizations, such as Department of Social Services, Department of Rehabilitation, the Employment Development Department, and or coming in to utilize the resource room, as well as to access our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Title I programs. We offered we had 256 individuals who attended job search workshops and provided a total of 19,711 recorded services to individuals on the workforce side of the house. Demographics, the greatest majority of the customers who came in during the 18-19 program year fell between the 22 to 44 age range. That would be about 61% of the total visitors to the center, with approximately 20% in the 16 to 21-year-old age range, and the balance in the 45 and older age range. Ethnicity is consistent with the makeup of our county, with approximately 48% of our visitors reporting as white and 42.8% as Hispanic, with the balance in other ethnic groups. The majority of the customers who came in to the center during that time period did come in from the city of Madera, with others coming in from city of Chowchilla and Eastern Madera County. As a result of the data that we pulled regarding residents, we are initiating a more substantial outreach and presence in the Chowchilla area using our partnership with First Five, as well as in Eastern Madera County, so that we have regular office hours to make services more accessible to individuals in those communities. The individuals that were enrolled in Title I, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act funding, there were 456 enrolled in that program last year. 261 of those had at least a high school diploma, 125 had less than a high school diploma, and the rest had some level of post-secondary education. Again, of the 456 people that were enrolled last year, 203 were participating at some point in some type of training activity. That might include a vocational training program. It could also include the high school equivalency preparation or high school diploma programs, as well as on-the-job training and other kinds of work-based learning. As far as outcomes are concerned, we measure outcomes 6 months after people leave our program and 1 year after people leave our program. Individuals that were employed as of 6 months after exit in our program, 65% of those that were eligible under our adult funding were employed 6 months after exit. That was 119 out of 184 people who exited during the same time period. 76.6% of the individuals who are enrolled as dislocated workers, those who were laid off due to a plant closure, plant reduction, were employed at 6 months after exit. That was 36 individuals out of 47 who exited during that time period. And in our youth program, which is 18 to 24-year-olds who are not employed and or not in school, 65.7% of those were employed at 6 months after program exit. We invested approximately $44,000 in support costs to allow people to participate in our programs for adult and dislocated worker populations, additional $13,400 for youth participants to enable them to participate. That might include clothing, transportation, books, supplies, physicals, licensing exams, anything that's necessary for them to complete, participate in and complete the program. As a result of our programs, the total earnings for individuals who exited and were employed 1 year after they exited our program, the total earnings of that group were $1,192,154. The average wage per participant at exit, dislocated workers were making approximately $12.65 an hour. Youth participants were making approximately $12.59 an hour, and adults around $14.57 an hour, with the median earnings for the fourth quarter after exit from our programs at $5,967.
Is that a month?
That's a quarter.
Oh, a quarter. Okay.
Yeah, but just under $2,000 a month earnings. That was the median. The average earnings in the fourth quarter after exit for the quarter was $6,375. We had an average cost per training activity of $3,000 and an average cost per participant served of $4,611. We trained people in transportation logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, general business, hospitality, child development, security guard, maintenance, computer support, or IT. and 83 individuals exited our program with an industry-recognized certificate or credential. In business services, we have 2 individuals that, well, 3, one that works for the youth program, but 2 individuals that work full-time on business services. And they served 415 businesses over the course of that same program year and provided 912 business services, including creating 569 internal job orders. We invested in direct employer wage subsidies, $98,764, using our on-the-job training program. And we paid subsidized wages for paid work experience for young adults and transitional job training programs of approximately $258,000 in direct wage payments to participants. Our overall performance for all of the measures that the state looks at, we did exceed all of our established goals with the exception of one, that was the actual earnings for adult exiters during the second quarter. After exit, we attained 96% of that standard, and I did provide a chart for that. We are evaluated on the rates of employment the second quarter after exit, the fourth quarter after exit, which is a 1-year measure after they've left our program, median earnings during the second quarter after they've exited, and credential attainment within a year of exit. And we did meet or exceed all of our goals in those areas. The Workforce Development Board has established some priorities or goals for the coming year. We want to emphasize broader community awareness of career education, career planning, and career technical education options. We want to focus resources on priority sectors and economic growth drivers, design programs and services to promote and enable upward mobility, focusing on those individuals who perhaps are unemployed or underemployed and needing additional skill development to move up the career ladder. We want to continue to prioritize services to underserved populations, including second chance individuals and those who are not currently in the labor market. We would like to increase the effectiveness of our outreach and marketing, again, to broaden awareness about the availability of our programs and resources, and always use data to drive our decision making. And I would be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Are there any questions?
Doing a heck of a job, man.
Yeah.
Tracy, that's a good report.
Thank you, Matt.
Very good report.
So when Tracy had brought this to our board, and Max, I was looking at the report and I was like, this is what Max asks for every single year at this annual report.
Yeah.
And I said, Tracy, I can't wait for you to bring this here because we're talking about outcomes and
Right.
what are we doing
Results.
over there? And for a long time, we never knew what was really happening over there, what it.
We did get a lot of lip service.
Yeah, but to have, to show, $1,192,000 in wages from the investment that we put in that, right? The workforce,
Yes.
this was truly an investment in that. And that turns over, the next year, they're going to have, some may drop off, but some are going to increase what they're bringing in. And we train the next ones and the next ones. And, this $1.2 million then turns over in the economy 6 times. That's $7 million of new economy within our county. And, you just look at that and then think about now what services it frees up for others that need our services. And now they're able to take care of themselves. And so I was very excited to bring that. I just want to tell you publicly what a great job you've been doing since taking over and really getting back to what is at the heart of this, which is helping people get back to work, get trained, and those that don't know where else to turn, you're there, and the organization is better for it. Our county is better for it. I went to a workshop with workforce developers from all over the state, and if you saw the way that people would come and ask Tracy about what she's doing, and
How?
I mean, she was, you can tell that everyone there held you in very high esteem. I loved sitting there, and I was like lost, and then all of a sudden I'm talking with somebody trying to just act like I knew what I was talking about, and Tracy would come up and I'm like, oh, thank God. And then she just, just understands the programs, understands what it's really about at the end of the day. And you can see that care. And like I said, the organization in the county is much better for having you there. And so I just really appreciate it. I love this report. It's easy to read, it's easy to understand, and thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I anticipate doing a mid-year report similar way after we get the statistics through December. So I'll be bringing something back a couple different times a year.
Supervisor Rodriguez has a question.
Of course.
Tracy, what do you hear about the minimum wage as it climbs to $15? What do you hear from the employers or potential employers in the future?
We haven't heard a great deal and haven't seen a great deal of curtailing around hiring, at least not in the sectors that we're focused on: manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, things like that. Generally pay higher than minimum wage at entry to begin with. The most significant impact, at least from what I've read and what I've heard locally, will be likely in the restaurant business, and then perhaps in retail sales. Some retail establishments are going to more automated checkouts, things like that, to kind of reduce their wage obligations and not reduce service to a great deal. But there was a recent study by the Brookings Institute about the restaurant sector in New York City, which is a substantial sector in that city. And they had not seen any significant reductions in hiring because of an increase in the minimum wage in that area. In fact, it was mostly driven, the costs were mostly absorbed by small increases in prices that customers seemed willing to absorb, and there was not a significant dip in economic activity in that sector as a result of the increase. So we can hope that something similar will happen here in that industry that will offset that minimum wage increase as it continues to go up.
All right. Is there any public comment regarding this? Seeing none, I'll call it closed. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're up to great work. Great holidays.
7F? Just kidding. 7E?
You got that one done.
7E, Behavioral Health Services Department, Homeless Plan and Funding. One, discussion and consideration to approve and support the Behavioral Health Services Plan to reduce homelessness. Two, discussion and consideration to authorize the Director of Behavioral Health to apply for homeless housing assistance and prevention program funding as outlined in AB 101, Chapter 159, and statutes of 2019.
Good afternoon, Chairman, board members. Now I kind of lost all of my thoughts that are coming up there, which is good. I don't want to get too late. So both of our items have to do with homelessness, and I'm going to give a couple general remarks about homelessness and then get into the two recommended actions. And first of all, I want to also thank Supervisor Poitras for putting together a team to go up to Sacramento last week and for the day. In fact, we probably had the largest team, and we were well representative. And thanks for your leadership on that.
Good job.
So when it comes to homelessness, it's such a complex issue, and there's so many different causes. It's this big spectrum, and I think of the young girl or young lady who leaves her abusive husband, grabs her 2-year-old daughter, sleeps in her car in the Save Mart parking lot, homeless, Right. And then I think of the other guy who's a predator, and he goes and lives in the homeless encampments because he preys on people and he steals from them and he peddles drugs to them and tries to get their Social Security check and that. And they're the other end of the spectrum. So one is like tugging at your heart, and the other one, you want to kick him in in the wherever, you know. They come in. I was trying to think of, I was going to clean it up a little bit. And so you think of this whole spectrum of homelessness, and, you know, and all the different issues that get someone to be homeless. And then where do you put resources? Because by grouping certain groups together, we can see what resources, how we're going to affect change here in Madera County and that. And so I think of it that some people need a place to live, some people need some help, and then we need to clean up, okay? Because homelessness, it makes a mess. It's a messy situation for people's lives, for our community. If you live in a neighborhood where there's homeless around, you know of the issue of trash and poop, you know. I mean, if you just think about it, every once in a while, our trash, I don't get the cans out in time and they don't pick it up for a week. Oh, my goodness gracious,
exactly.
you know. Yeah, it just collects, and what are we going to do? So as we think of how we can address the issues of homelessness, it's a person, it's a family, sometimes it's criminals, and it's also the community where all this is happening that causes the effect of it. If you were going to put some people in some main categories, no doubt some of it's mental illness, some of it's substance use disorder, some of it are criminals. No doubt that overarching theme is the unavailability or the low availability of low-income housing. It's getting harder and harder to find housing that's affordable for someone that's right on the edge. And so when they do research to find out how does a person go from steady employment, in fact, I was just reading about this person. I can never say the name. It's Somnolier or something, a guy that tells you what kind of wine to eat with your food. Because, you know, you can't figure it out, and you need, you know, about his from the highest restaurants in Napa and San Francisco to becoming homeless. And you hear how it was just a couple different situations because he was paycheck to paycheck, even though they were nice paychecks. And he had a couple different situations, probably both due to his own drug use and some other things that were happening. Then he had an illness, and had a big medical bill, and he's homeless now for the last 5 or 6 years. Very bright guy, and they were interviewing him to kind of figure it out, you know. And so what we realize, it's usually one or two or a combination of two events that a person ends up homeless. Maybe it's a loss of job and a medical illness with a large bill, and all of a sudden I have no resources, I have no savings, and then I'm, quote, homeless. Maybe I'm not living on the street, maybe I'm in someone's garage, couch surfing, or someone's spare bedroom, or my car. Surprising, as I look into homelessness, how many people reside in cars, how many kids, when I meet with the school district, how many kids they have attending school that would be classified as homeless. Really shows the complexity. What happens when a person's homeless for a long period of time or a period of time is it's like a combat, and thank you, Supervisor Rogers, for that great speech. It was almost as good as the one you gave before a few years ago that we scribed for you. Thank you. You know, as a veteran, and I think of this day, and especially that flag last night at the football game. You know, go Hawks. Yeah.
7F.
Yeah. So if you think of a veteran or a service member that's in combat, they're hyper aroused. They're like focused, you know, because someone's trying to kill them. When someone's homeless, that's the way they get. They're just hyper aroused, and they can't slow their brain down because someone's going to take their stuff or this is going to happen. And they really need to be. When you think of that hours, days, weeks, years, and then you put someone into a shelter, they cannot respond. Their brain takes so long to just kind of slow down, calm down. We see the same thing with our veterans that come back. So when I think of homeless, and I look at the numbers of veterans that we have homeless, and even the people that we have that come for behavioral health services that are veterans and homeless, you know, to know those numbers. It's only a few. But it seems like it's a big deal, at least it is to me. Not just because I'm a veteran, just because they, you know, like you said, they put it on the line for us. They surely did. So what do we do? How do we figure out what are we going to do for homeless here in Madera? And part of that is to help them with a place to live, okay? Whatever that looks like. And a lot of communities are doing all kinds of stuff. Are those tents? Are those small tiny houses? Are there urban campgrounds? Are there low-income housing, supportive housing, all the different things? And then those people probably need some help, whether it's mental health, substance use, learning some job skills, something. And then, in my mind, I always call it, then we got to figure out how to clean up the mess, because it's this mess that's left behind. And really what happens is we have to, I think, do a little bit better on how we prepare ourselves, and that's going to be one of our items, is to prepare ourselves to receive some grants. Last year there were some grants because we're in the Fresno Madera continuum of care, so we're a geographical continuum of care that funding comes down. And I don't think the sheriff is still here, but if you will hear someone that's upset about how that funding happened, sometimes that Fresno Madera, we don't get our fair share on it. And just to say that, I think we have to figure out why or how we're part of this continuum of care with them. Which, that being said, brings me to our two items that we have on here. The first is, about a year and a half ago, we had a funding opportunity to build what's called No Place Like Home, a low-income housing project. In order to do that, we had to have a county homeless plan, or in small letters they had in there like a department homeless plan. But we found a document that was done in 2011 that was titled the county's End to Homelessness. I don't know if we're going to ever end it, but we found this document, and quite honestly, it wasn't sufficient to pass their muster. So they allowed, we knew we didn't have time to put together a countywide homeless plan, so they allowed us to do a department homeless plan, which was just that. What is the behavioral health department going to do to help with those clients that come to us that are homeless? We had to do a wide range, and you'll see in the plan there, of about 20 different agencies, brought them together last year, like right before Christmas. It was a struggle to get it done in time. And we put together a plan that had a couple different items, not a comprehensive plan. It was good enough to submit with our application. And in fact, we were awarded. We're going to build 56 to 60 units out behind the Carl's Jr. on over there off of 99. That was part of that. That was one of our requirements. And we were able to get that plan. And then part of that plan was to hire outreach workers. And we did. We hired those outreach workers. And the effort that these two gals have been doing here in Madera and up in Oakhurst, Corskell, North Fork, and Chowchilla, the number of people they've been serving. In fact, 10 people, they got interview skills, and of those, 9 got jobs. Not the biggest numbers, but yeah. We had 4 veterans that we got them hooked up with the VA, and we had another 4 veterans that were able to get housing assistant vouchers. Not big numbers unless you're one of those 4. Or unless that's your brother, or that's your sister, or your relative, then it's a big number. So that's recommendation number 1. Recommendation number 2 is there's a funding coming down that's for homeless assistance, and in order to receive the funding here at the county, we had to designate a department to be the lead on that, and then a person within the department or the director to go through that application. That application will not just be behavioral health services. It would be a community application that we put together to figure out what we're going to do to help homelessness. And with those two, I'm here for any questions.
Dennis, so obviously homelessness is a wide range of issues that touch a lot of our different services. Do we have anybody to coordinate all of those services to help aid in that?
No, we don't.
We?
Pardon?
Should we?
Well, it's like if I was not the director of behavioral health, would most of our services go on? We sure would. But we wouldn't have someone to draw in to organize, to plan and set policy and to set that flag where we're going. The reason we didn't get funding at that last round, the Fresno Madera, it all ended up going to Fresno. We're still trying to scrape some of it back, is because we didn't have a lead on it. I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years ago when we had the meeting with the city, we brought that up at that time too. We got to get someone in the lead there.
You want to do it?
Well, do I want to? Wholeheartedly, yes, I do. You know, I was prepared at that meeting when it came up, but what happens if, you know, Dennis, you recommended, they're going to say, good, thank you, you're on it. And so I look at what that would mean for me personally, time-wise, and talk to my wife about that, and, you know, and I have Julie, my assistant director here, which about 50% of the good stuff you see comes from our organization, is her leadership as much as mine. And to figure out how we can put that together, and I would have to have conversations with Eric. My initial response would be, heck yes, would probably be a different word. Because somehow we, and I know that a lot of those clients or those people are probably could use our services. And then I think of who would be that senior department head around here, and I look around, I don't know if I'm the oldest, or the one that's been there the longest, you know, and I only came for a short period of time, but I kind of fell in love with this community. And I'm willing to sit and talk and to figure that one out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
You know, I kind of realized by talking.
I'm not.
Yeah, that I've definitely thought about it for quite some time. Yeah.
Supervisor Poitras.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we had our meeting prior to attending the Sacramento homeless seminar or whatever, you know, I started out by saying, you know, as a county supervisor, if somebody were to come up to me and ask me, tell me about the homeless outreach in Madera, and it occurred to me that I wouldn't be able to give them a very good answer. I know that, you know, I know behavioral health's doing something, and I know that public health's doing something, and I know we do a count, but frankly, I would be at a loss. And I'm thinking, you know, that's a very, very bad indictment on me as a county supervisor, not knowing exactly what is going on with what was voted the #1 issue in the state of California in surveys. Now, there's other things that are close to it, but it was #1. And it's probably #1 here in the city of Madera. So it was through that frustration, you know, that we organized the meeting. And the idea is to not only, you know, ramp up better coordination for efficiency and effectiveness, but also so that our community knows what we're doing. Because the community drives by the river, they look over there, they go and they see encampments, they go on the trail, they see encampments, they look in downtown, they see people wandering around, and they say, what's being done, what's happening, and this and that, and I'm not sure that they know. And I know that there are a lot of efforts, and there's a lot of good things going on, but what we need to do is to elevate that information, coordinate it, and better communicate it. And I had a great conversation with Sarah last, I guess it was Friday, and at the Economic Summit, and you know, she informed me of the things that Live Well is doing that were just outstanding, and she's working on it from a root issue, like, you know, not like just working with the symptoms that we also need to work with and which funding is for, but how about, you know, the root, what's causing homelessness, and what are those things that we can intervene early so people don't become homeless, and that's what Sarah's doing. And so I'm saying, well, that's great. We can have parallel tracks going. We can have the working on the symptoms and the issues, people who are already homeless, and then we can attack it from the root source. So I think that would be great, and I appreciate the chairman for asking you if you'd be willing to head that up. And I think you'd be an outstanding individual, and I would love to work with you in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the support.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yes, a little tired and hungry from lunch, so if I
Supervisor Wheeler.
Dennis, you obviously have a grasp of this situation, and I appreciate your willingness to step into the gap. And that doesn't always mean that you have to perform all the functions related to that. I think just in a way of not necessarily advice, you don't need advice, but my thoughts would be for you that you have capable people. If you need assistance in that regard, let us know. And you have capable people, delegate and do what you feel if you want to look at it that way. And I'm sure that you can craft something that will work in that regards. I've had a lot of interactions, surprisingly, with homeless people in the last year. I've made an effort to get out into the sloughs in our regional area, because that there are a lot of particularly elderly widows who live along the edge of one slough that I know of, and they were having serious issues with regard to being robbed, and surprise visits from people in the middle of the night and what have you. And it's just very frightening for them. So I took it upon myself to go out there in my off-road vehicle and went through there, and I've talked to quite a few of them. Some of them realize they don't belong there, and some of them are up to no good, and some of them are just out of their minds with whatever's happened in their life, the drug use, the mental health issues. And one of the things we had as a problem there in Chowchilla for quite a while on the north end of town were continual fires in the sloughs. And I talked to one of the
right here on the river too.
I talked to one of the fire department guys and the police officers, said they were out there every day through the summer, every day on a fire in the slough. The drain on the resources for our fire department, for our police, our sheriff, all of these people, and even code enforcement, because code enforcement's been out there. I take pictures of the camps. I take pictures of the subjects, which leads me to another thought in a second. I'll ask you about that. But I realize there are laws that are in place that limit what we can do in many respects. So we put notices on these camps, and they go out there, and when they're deserted, then they can go in and clean them up, and they do that. People do not realize the tons of garbage that they've taken out of these sloughs and riverbeds. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and they're in situations that I wouldn't want to be in personally, because I've walked through these regions, and I find it just deplorable what's being done there. But to circle around to that thought I had earlier was, is there a way to identify, catalog these people without violating rules, catalog, get a picture, a name, what have you? I mean, if you ask them and they allow you to, I'm sure that is permissible. And so that we could track these individuals and see what effort we're making, if it's working or not.
Well, I think anytime if we were going to look at some group, some person, to put together policy recommendations and planning efforts, that it would be incumbent then, with direction from the board, to do some of those things, to look at. I don't know, quite honestly. But I mean, that's kind of part of our challenge right now, is that we don't have a plan for the county, and we don't have policy recommendations brought to this board. So, if I was a board member and someone says, what are you doing about homelessness? You know what, I'm not getting a lot of recommendations. I mean, I don't know how else to say that, but from staff, from the department, whoever, because we don't have that, what's coming. No doubt, I in fact talked to Sarah about this last week and talked about some different ideas, that how do we look at some different policies that would be effective. We're not going to end homelessness.
No, I know.
Right. Good Book tells me it was there, and it's going to be with us all. But I think there's some people we can help. There's some people we're going to be able to house if we're coordinated, and there's some mess to clean up.
Yeah, well, and also I think, too, being able to identify these people for the sheriff's department that need to be arrested, because they're out there up to nefarious intent.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of one guy, and I sent it in to Tyson Pogue, and I said, is this guy wanted, and he looked him up, sure enough. I mean, you never know. It's the way it is. But I think my point earlier was that we are using resources, we're draining resources that weren't intended to be focused on those issues. And maybe if we put some resources in on the cure end, or like you said, we're not going to cure it.
Right.
But as an example, at Farnesi's restaurant, they're right up against the Ash Slough, and the restaurant owner there, he calls me regularly because the issue is they're camping out right in there, and they come up and they order food, and then they don't pay for it. I mean, this it's destroying his business. And they come in and they steal things out of the trucks. They rob people's cars. They rob the restaurant when the restaurant's closed. It's a real problem. A lot of these people are up to nefarious intent, and it needs to be checked.
I think you said there's that wide range. And
There's such a list of what things have done. I'll be honest. Why would I not be?
Never know.
Yeah, you never know. If I look at some of the policies in some of our Bay Area communities have done, that is not me. I have a bleeding heart for people that need help and want help, But I think in our county, to coin the phrase, a more conservative county, that even with our clients, sometimes when we hold them accountable, they will step up to that. I was just reading where the DA now in Oakland, Alameda County, is not going to charge anyone now for urinating in public. Well, I think of that, I go, what is that going to solve by telling people, well, it's just kind of okay? And that's where, some kind of, for us to be clear on what our policy is. And, some of that's law enforcement, I don't know, but to bring them for us to have some community conversations, and probably some conversations in each of your districts. So one, they know something is happening, and two, so we can hear from them what are theirs.
Yeah. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yeah, real quick. The apartments we bought with partners with that Fresno group that does that up in Oakhurst, is that still working pretty good?
Oh, you know what? That has been a great partnership. We're looking for another place right now up there too.
Yeah,
that's been a great partnership.
Yeah. I knew they had somebody to do it. What I was going to say is another opportunity zone area is that maybe we could partner with some of the monies and stuff you're getting, and if we could put some of these together to put these housing tracks together, that we had a percentage, 1 or 10% or whatever, for low-income housing that might cover some homelessness. We could partner with them and do that. So
I can't believe we're capitalizing on every opportunity that's out there.
Right. Yeah, there's got to be more. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Dennis, when you talk about homelessness, you're putting them all together, but you got to separate them. In other words, you got to help the people that want to help themselves.
Right.
Then there's a group of people that do not want any help. They want to be left alone.
Right.
Okay. The people that want to help themselves, I say, work with self-help homes, the people that they build homes, but they have to put in 1,000 hours of their own time building their own homes, so they'll take care of them. You can give homes or apartments to some people, and they'll tear them up within a year. They'll tear them up.
Yeah.
Now, if you got the people that don't want any help, and I've talked to some people here, administrators, that you got to find a place where you can put those individuals. Now, don't ask for a grant. Don't spend $100,000. Just get a patch of property where you can relocate these people, put a water truck out there and some portable potties, and let them live the way they want to live. These are the people that don't want any help at all. And they're all along the river. Now, the river people, there's gangs down there. You've heard that. There's gangs down there, organized. They deal in drugs. They do everything unimaginable down there. These people, you can't help. You can't do anything with them. We have to admit that. We can't, you can't try to civilize them. They're done with. They're done with. You got to help the people that want to help. They want to help themselves and their children to lead a better life. And that's what we have to put in our mind to help these people, like you say, we're not going to solve this problem, we're not going to solve them. But at least we'll do the best we can with the people that want to help themselves.
Yep.
I agree.
I just have one more question.
Any public,
I just wanted one more question. We're getting brass tacks here, but, if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But I have, for a long time, felt that those who are unhelpable, I mean, we can't reach some of these people. It's not a changed situation for them. They will be this way till they die. And for those individuals that are unreachable, I'm convinced that institutionalizing them is the only way to deal with this, because they are a danger to themselves and a danger to society. Your thoughts?
Well, I've read a couple different things. One, in fact, what Supervisor Rodriguez said, in San Antonio, Texas, they were the model of homelessness. They had a huge homelessness problem down on the Riverwalk. It was killing their businesses. And they actually made they made it illegal for panhandling there and made, for lack of a better word, an urban campground, where they have people for services go out to there, and if they need it, they get it. If they just want to camp, they live there, good, bad, and then it got really, it's, a lot of people are getting help from there. They institutionalized. Now, in some counties, they are now going to arrest people for certain offenses they would not have arrested them for, because they had some open space in part of their jail in that. And then if they're there, they're required then to attend alcohol and drug services, mental health services, and trying that. So there's a lot of different approaches with that, because I agree that some people cannot live inside. However we're going to categorize the reason for that. Yeah, and there's some we probably won't be able to help much. Yeah.
all right, is there any public comment regarding this item? Seeing none, I'll call close to the public comment portion. Do you, so we have
Two recommended actions.
Yeah, I move that we approve, somebody made the motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Do we want to make a motion to approve both? To approve item 1 and 2 under 7E.
Second.
with direction for him to bring back some kind of structure for leadership of that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, 7F, and in deference to everybody's time, it is on the agenda. Rhonda, you don't need to read all of that.
I was just going
That's
to read the first.
Yeah, if you just read the introduction.
Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with Core Business Interiors in the amount not to exceed $925,543 for furniture and installation services for the Department of Social Services, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Members of the board, Marie Miranda with General Services, here again with Jorge Mendoza, our Capital Projects Manager. As your board is aware, we are currently in construction of our Health and Social Services project out at the Road 28 campus. The project involves the construction of 4 approximately 40,000 square foot 2-story buildings, 1 for use by our Public Health Department and 3 for use by our Department of Social Services. The complex spans 14 acres, and we put together a few photos for you to see the progress out there.
That's awesome.
Absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely awesome.
Thank you. So the contractor is making great progress. As you can see in the first photos, most of the hardscapes has been completed, the site parking, as well as we're working with NG Solar to do photovoltaic systems there as well. Can you go to the next pictures? This is public health, and as Sarah Boss mentioned earlier, we're scheduled to move this weekend, starting with Friday, Saturday, and if needed, Sunday. So we have economy movers on board to do that and accomplish this task. We have a great team. I want to say thank you to Madera County IT Department. They've been very cooperative to make this happen, as well as public health. And then here, there's some examples of Building A, which is public health as well, again, of how it looks inside, the new lobby areas, the new furniture, and just the overall look.
Your shower's on in the middle picture?
Say that again?
That shower's in the middle
No.
picture, huh? Oh, shoot.
So we have received the certificate of occupancy for the public health building and are anticipated to be complete with the DSS buildings in January. Pursuant to our lease agreement, we are required to begin paying rent upon the receipt of the certificate of occupancy. So part of today's recommended actions is to transfer rent funds from public health's budget over to a newly created budget org in order to track all charges for the cost plan. So all future rent payments for both public health and DSS will come out of that new org. The remaining actions concern furniture procurement for the buildings. We are working with Core Business Interiors on the project. Furniture is already being delivered and installed for public health. However, we do need to transfer funds to pay the remaining furniture costs as well as audio-visual equipment, and that total cost is $613,864. Additionally, we are recommending approval of a separate contract with Core Business Interiors in the amount of $925,543 for furniture for the remaining 3 DSS buildings. DSS's furniture plan includes both new furniture as well as dismantling, moving, and reconfiguring existing furniture at the new campus. So we'll need to execute that contract at this time to ensure that delivery occurs in time for occupancy. And with that, we're available for questions.
Looks beautiful. It's a great project. Thank you for all of your attention to it. You know, you look at it and it shows, one, a care for the people that we serve to come in there, to treat with respect, as well as our employees. And so congratulations to all of you for all the hard work and seeing through a project that will outlast all of us. So Supervisor Rodriguez.
Who pays for all these improvements, all this new furniture? What budget?
The public health and DSS budget. So it's all $7 in the general fund.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the public health and the social services and all of them. They've been talking about this since I've been elected, and here we are now, it's finishing it up. So they've banked a lot of money to help pay for this, and that's the reason we get things done like that. All of our buildings have been done that way, so.
Before Sarah Boss, nothing. After Sarah Boss, beautiful new building.
That's what happens, you get bossy, see.
All right.
Bossy and get
Is
things
there
done.
any public comment regarding this item? See none, I'll call close to public. Next week, Monday, will be limited services and then fully open, Wednesday?
No, we're actually opening the doors to the public on Monday at noon.
Monday at noon.
Ribbon cutting?
For limited.
We will have doors open with people at front desk and, of course, able to receive phone calls. We'll probably be able to receive phone calls before noon, but our doors open at noon. And it will be with limited services. We're, of course, making sure that we're able to prioritize things like communicable disease investigation, birth and death records.
Thank you, Joe.
And so, but then fully operational will be probably Wednesday or Thursday by the time people fully unpack. There are some things that we'll have transition with, like our public health laboratory. There are some functions we're going to have to leave at the old building until new equipment is completely installed and things like that.
Yeah. Ribbon cutting, you said? Is there?
So currently ribbon cutting, we're wanting to have the DSS buildings completed. We're anticipating probably early May of 2020.
Perfect. So he can take credit for it. Thanks a lot. That's just kidding.
Move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, we're going to page 28, row 28.
It's not agendized, so we'll have to bring that back. But I want it to be done too. All right, we just have 2 more items on closed session. Let's do any pending legislation. I don't see any pending legislation. Supervisor and staff reports. I'll start to my right. Supervisor Poitras.
Yes, I just have one thing to report. I had an opportunity to be re-educated at the California Forward Conference last week. Thank you.
Supervisor Rogers?
Nothing to report.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Just one more time before the 15th, the Chiropodist Club is looking for women that need a scholarship to go back to college.
CAO, County Council, Madam Clerk, and I also attended the Governor's Economic Summit. It was great to have a bunch of Central Valley, and so with that, we will go back into closed session, read it out after, and
It's because I didn't.
All right. Welcome back from closed session. County Council, anything to report out of closed session?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from the afternoon's closed session.
And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you, boss. So much.
Good meeting for District 2.
Very, very great day for me.